This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to Chapter 3 of our series, Find Your Purpose, A Journey to Meaning. In this episode titled, Your Strengths and Gifts, What Are You Made For? We're going to explore how to identify your personal strengths and unique talents that make you, well, you. So let's dive in. Right now, as you're listening, there are a few things you do so naturally you barely notice them. Yet research shows people who lean on those default settings at work are about 3 times more likely to say their life is going really, really well. What are yours? Maybe your thing is spotting patterns everyone else walks past, or staying calm while other people mentally flip tables, or turning vague ideas into 3 bullet points and a deadline before the meeting even ends. These don't feel impressive from the inside. They feel ordinary, like reaching for the same mug every morning without thinking. That's the trap. Strengths are often invisible precisely because they're natural. Meanwhile, school and work train us to obsess over what's broken. Fix your weaknesses, close your gaps, be more well-rounded. But the data keeps pointing somewhere else. People grow fastest where they're already unusually capable, not just in results, but in energy, confidence, and sense of meaning. So in this episode, we're not hunting for a single grand purpose. We're doing something quieter and more practical, mapping the places where effort turns into impact with suspicious ease, and asking what that implies about what you're made for. But suspicious ease can be misleading. Sometimes you're good at something because you've armored up, people-pleasing, over-preparing, smoothing conflicts so no one gets upset. Those can look like gifts from the outside and still drain you dry. Strengths, in the sense we're after, tend to leave you a little more alive after you use them, not less. They show up in odd places: how you argue, how you text, how you organize a group trip or choose what to watch. Think of them as fingerprints on your day. Subtle, consistent, uniquely yours, whether or not anyone's ever praised them. Here's where the science gets surprisingly practical. When psychologists study people at their best, they don't just ask, "What are you good at?" They look for 3 signals that tend to cluster together. 1. You perform well, often without elaborate preparation. 2. You feel more engaged while doing it. 3. You'd plausibly choose to do it again. That mix, ability, aliveness, and appetite, is what separates a genuine strength from a learned survival skill or a random talent. You might be excellent at keeping quiet to avoid conflict, but you probably don't feel more yourself when you do it. On the other hand, you might not be the world's best brainstormer, yet notice you light up whenever a messy problem hits the table. Notice the order there. Many of us were trained to start with performance, grades, promotions, praise. Strengths work flips that. Start with energy and curiosity, then check whether they reliably translate into outcomes that matter to you or others. This is where formal tools can help, not as verdicts about who you are, but as structured mirrors. Assessments like Clifton Strengths or VIA Character Strengths are built from large datasets and look for recurring patterns that people often overlook in themselves. Think of them less as personality quizzes, more as a first draft of hypotheses. Maybe you're unusually oriented toward spotting what could go wrong, or maybe you naturally build trust quickly. You still have to test these against your actual life, and context matters. The same underlying pattern can look heroic or inconvenient depending on where you put it. A person who relentlessly questions assumptions might be a nightmare in a rigid hierarchy and a gift in a startup that lives on innovation. Someone who loves planning details might feel stifled in a role that changes every hour, but become indispensable when stakes are high and tolerance for chaos is low. So instead of asking, "What am I good enough at to be valued?" a better question is, where do my natural patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving seem to produce value with less friction? And in what environments does that value really count? Your "made for" isn't a single job title waiting to be discovered. It's the intersection of those patterns with problems that actually need them. Think about a friend who always ends up running the group trip, not because they crave control, but because their brain automatically starts mapping routes, budgets, and backup plans. Another friend might never volunteer for logistics, yet when someone's upset, they're the first person everyone calls. Conversations just deepen around them without effort. A third friend hears a half-baked idea and, 10 minutes later, has turned it into a concrete experiment. Each of these people is doing something repeatable and strangely reliable, but none of them needed a personality label to get there. They just followed the trail of, "This keeps happening when I'm around." That's the pattern you're trying to catch in yourself. One practical clue: look at the compliments you tend to dismiss. "You made that so clear." "I feel calmer after talking to you." "I never would have seen that option." These are often X-rays of your impact. You shrug them off precisely because they feel easy. Don't argue with them, archive them. They're hints about what you're quietly built to contribute. Soon, your calendar might quietly reorder itself based on when your mind is sharpest, nudging deep-focused tasks into those windows and shuffling routine work elsewhere. Class schedules could flex too. A student who thrives on debate might be routed into live discussions, while another who excels at solitary analysis gets more studio-style time. Think less personality sorting hat, more dynamic playlist. Your roles, projects, and learning paths remix as your patterns evolve. Let this be less like carving your destiny in stone and more like learning which dishes you cook so well they never leave leftovers. As you notice where you consistently add flavor to group projects, friendships, or side gigs, you're sketching a rough menu of things only I seem to bring, raw material for a purpose that can keep evolving. To go deeper, here are 3 next steps. Retake the Clifton Strengths StrengthsFinder assessment and, with your top 5 themes in front of you, listen to the Theme Thursday episode on your #1 strength while pausing to compare their examples to moments from your own work or relationships. Grab a copy of Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans and complete the Good Time Journal exercise for the next 7 days, tracking when you feel most energized, absorbed, and effective. Then circle anything that lines up with the strengths the episode talked about, like encourager, strategic thinker, connector, etc. Finally, pick one real situation this week, a meeting, a family decision, a side project, and deliberately lead with a single gift the episode named, like asking better questions, offering encouragement, or creating a plan, and then debrief with a trusted friend using the "What gave me energy? What drained me?" framework from the show. This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow!